Arpeggios Corner, we're going to look at ellipses. Now, the shape of an ellipse looks somewhat like a circle, but it's stretched out a little bit more. Okay, so we have a lot of vocabulary words. We can have a horizontal ellipse, which is here. We can have a vertical ellipse. And we have a lot of different vocabulary words, which we are going to explore. The vertex, we have here. Also over here, we have a co-vertex is up and down. The center, exactly where it sounds, right in the center. And then we have a minor axis and a major axis. Okay, the minor axis is the part that is the smaller, and the major axis, kind of like the major leagues in baseball, that's the one with the bigger, the longer distance. Okay, so let's take a look. Now we're going to be able to use this information a lot. So standard form of an ellipse looks like this. Okay, we have x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared, and it's always equal to 1, or vice versa. The biggest thing here is that a is always the bigger number. Okay, now again, we talked about we have either a horizontal or a vertical ellipses, and then we have some foci and some lengths of the major and minor axis. Okay, now this one up here is when the ellipse is centered at the origin. You'll see what happens with our numerators. If there's a little bit of a shift, we have to deal with that h and k value as we did before. All right, so let's practice a few, and we'll refer back to this chart, make sure we're okay. All right, so the first one, we have x squared over 32 plus y squared over 81. And with that, you can see that our center is at 0, 0. Okay, my a squared is the higher value, so the a squared is 81. The b squared right here is 32. Okay, now we need, if you look back at our chart, we need the c value to find the foci. So we're going to use this right here. All right, so I know that c squared is equal to a squared, which is 81, minus b squared, which is 32. So c squared is equal to 49, and c is equal to 7, which we're going to need. Okay, so we're going to find out what our foci is. So we have 0 and 7, 0, 7, and we have 0, negative 7. Okay, so we'll graph all these in just a second. We can put our center. We'll start with that. Put our center there. Now, the length of our major axis is going to be 2 times a. So the first thing we have to do is we have to find our a value. So if a squared is equal to 81, take the square root of both sides. And we have that a is equal to 9. Same thing with b. B squared is equal to 32, square root of both sides, and we have approximately 5.66. All right, so our length of our major axis is going to be 2 times a, which is 18. The length of our minor axis is going to be 2 times b, so that ends up being 11.32. And this is going to be units for both. And the minor and the major axis is going to be from vertex to vertex, and same thing with the co-vertices. So we'll take a look at that. Okay, our h value here, we'll find our vertices, and then we'll be able to graph it, is 0. And then we have 0 plus or minus. We set up here that a is 9. So our vertices, we have one at 0, 9, and one at 0, negative 9. Okay, so let's do that right now. 0, 9. Oh, I went the wrong direction. We have 0, 9 up here and 0, negative 9 down here. Okay, our co-vertices is going to be goes along with the minor axis. So we have 0 plus or minus 5.66. And our y value there is going to be 0. So we have 5.66, 0, and negative 5.660 as well. So right about here, again, we're estimating, and right about here. Okay, so now we can draw this ellipse, and again, everything's by hand, so hopefully we'll see how well we do. Okay, so again, what happened here, let's label things. This is our co-vertex here and co-vertex here. And that is along right here. This is our minor axis. Okay, you go the other direction, the longer one is our major axis. And this is where we have a vertex here and a vertex there. Okay, so once you have those, you can graph. Now, if we're trying to find our foci, we can go right here at 0, 7, which is right here, and 0, -7, which is right here. So they're both going to be inside the ellipse. Okay, so the length of the major axis was 18, because really, right, it was 9 on each side. 9 to the left, 9 to the right. So we got a total of 18, and the same thing with our minor axis. Okay, let's look at another one. This time the center is not at origin, so we're going to have a little bit of shifting going on here. Okay, so I notice that my higher value is 48, so that's where my a squared is and my b squared. So right away, I know that a squared is equal to 48. Take the square root of both sides, and my a value is going to be 6.93. Same thing with b squared is the square root of 20. Take the square root of both sides, and we have 4.47. So I know I'm going to go back to that. Also, I know I need that c value to find the foci. So let's do that right now. C squared is equal to a squared, which is 48 minus 20. So c squared is equal to 28. Square root of both sides. C is about 5.29. All right, so let's see what we have to plot here. So if I look at my center, we know my center is going to be HK, right? So my center is going to be at -2, 1. So that's going to be important. So I have -2, 1. I'll graph that right now. Now I'll do my foci. Follow what I have here. So my H value is -2, plus or minus C, which is 5.29, and my K value is 1. So what I end up when I do that, I have 3.291, and I have -7.291. We'll go back and check that. That should be inside our ellipse once we're done. Okay. This time, let's find our vertice first, and then we'll check out our major our axis and our minor axis. Okay. So we have H, which is -2, plus or minus A, which we found to be, let's go up a little bit, 6.93, and our K value in our center there is 1. So that ends up being, again, this is what I'm going to plot, 4.93, 1, and -8.93, 1. So let's do that now. 4.93 and 1, so almost at 5. And the same thing, -8.3, almost at 5. So these should definitely be the same distance away from the center. And the length of that is 2 times A, right? So we found A to be 6.93. So then we get 2 times 6.93. So the length of that axis is going to be 13.86. That's 13.86 units. Okay. So again, this is our vertex. This is our vertex. We'll do the same thing with our co-vertices. So I have -2 and then 1 plus or minus 4.47. That's our value for B. So the points we're going to plot is -2, 5.47, and -2, -3.47. So we have -2, 5.47 somewhere up here. And we have -2 and -3.47 somewhere right there. Now, if you notice, the vertex and the vertice and the co-vertices are going to be right in line with that center. So when you plot these 4 points, if one's off, you might want to take a look at that again just to make sure you're okay. So again, we're just going to kind of connect those, see how we do. And there is our ellipse. Now let's go back. Here's our foci. So we have 3.291, so it's going to be right about here. And same thing on the other end, -7.29 somewhere over there, and 1 right there. All right. All right, let's take a look at one more. Now, this one is not in standard form yet, so we have to put it in standard form. So I started to get us set up a little bit. We have x squared. We have x's and y's all over the place, so I grouped them according to the variable. Move this 436 to the other side. That actually should say -436. And then from there, we're going to do completing the square. So the first thing we did was I factored out a 25, right? So I'm going to take this 10, half of 10 is 5, 5 squared is 25. And then we did 25 times 25 is 625. So I have that negative 436 already on the other side. I'm going to add 625. And I'm also going to rewrite this. X plus 5 quantity squared. Plus, here we have negative, we'll deal with the y's now. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. 9 times 4 gives me 36, so I need to add the 36 on the other side. So that's going to give me 9 times y minus 2 quantity squared. On the right-hand side, if I combine all of these, I end up with 225. Now, our formula for the ellipse has to be 1, so I have to divide everything by 225 in order to get this in standard form. All right, so when I do that, I'm actually going to write this. I'll write this up top. I'll go up here. I end up with x plus 5 quantity squared divided by 9. And then I have y minus 2 squared divided by 25, sorry. And that equals 1. So now we're in our standard form. We're ready to graph and do a little bit more with this. This is the a squared, right, because it's the higher value. And this is our b squared. All right, so we know that our center now is going to be at negative 5, 2. Negative 5, positive 2 right here. And we'll go on and find our other values. So our h value, we have negative 5, comma, 2 plus or minus. Oh, we forgot to find the c value right here. So I have c squared is equal to 25 minus 9. So c squared is equal to 16. So c is equal to 4. So it gives me plus or minus 4 over here. That's my c value. So I end up with negative 5, positive 6, and negative 5, negative 2. So there's our foci. All right, let's take a look at our vertices here. So I have negative 5, comma, and did we find our a and b yet? I can't remember. Let's take a look. So no, we have a squared. Write this down here. A squared is equal to 25. It's an a. So a is equal to 5, and we have b squared is equal to 9, so b is equal to 3. Okay, so our vertices, we have negative 5, and then we have 2 plus or minus 5. So I end up with negative 5, 7, and negative 5, negative 3. There are our vertices. So we have negative 5, 7 is here, and negative 5, negative 3 is right here. Right, and again, that center should be right in between those, right centered. Do the same thing with the co-vertices. I have negative 5 plus or minus 3, comma 2. So that gives me negative 2, 2. And I also get negative 8, 2. So let's see how we did. So I have negative 2, 2 is here. And negative 8, 2 is here. So it looks pretty good, right, when we're looking at the shape. Let's draw that. Now, again, mine have tended to be a little bit lopsided, but there you go. Best we can do here. So now our major axis again, right? Our major axis is the long piece here. So the length of that is going to be 2 times a, and a is 5, so that gives us 10 units. And the same thing with our minor axis. That's going to be 2 times 3. That's 6 units. Okay, so last thing we have to do is we have to just, let's graph our foci right here. So we have negative 5, 6. So we're going to be right inside here. And we have negative 5, negative 2. So both times we need to make sure that they are inside the ellipse. Okay? Thanks so much for stopping by today. Have a good one.